Hello, fourth grade students. Mrs. Valle speaking. I just wanted to make a short video so we can go over a couple of things in math, okay? To make an equivalent fraction, for example, let's say I have 2/3, all right? All I have to do is think about a number. I want the number 8, for example, and I'm going to be multiplying by numerator and by denominator. Remember, whatever we do to one brother, we do to the other. And we multiply 2 times 8, 16, and 3 times 8, 24. There I have an equivalent fraction. Okay, in the book, we also present equivalent fractions. Okay, let's say I have 2/4 now. And you have to find the numerator, okay? This is the same thing as finding an equivalent fraction, but they gave you the denominator, and they gave you a denominator of 16. So what you have to ask yourself is, 4 times what number equals 16, which would be 4 in this case. Whatever we do to one brother, we do to the other. So you multiply by 4, and this would be 8. And there we have an equivalent fraction. The book also may present where you have to use division. So let's say I have 2/5, and I have here, let's say I have here a 5, and I have here a 20. That's the way it goes, okay? 2/20, and I have 5 as a denominator, and I have to find my numerator. Well, since I have a bigger number on this side, right? Okay, and there is nothing that I multiply that equals 5, then I'm going to do it the opposite side around. The opposite of multiplication is division. So that would be 20 divided by what number equals 5? That would be 4, okay? All right, so that means that 5 times 4 is 20, okay? So then what number times 4 is 12? And that would be 3. If you noticed, I fixed it here and wrote a 12 because I had a 2 by itself, okay? All right, and remember, whatever we do to one brother, we do to the other. How do we check it? Well, the opposite way around. If we divide this by 4, see, whatever we do to one brother, we do to the other. That'll be 12 divided by 4 is 3, and 20 divided by 4 is 5. And there we have an equivalent fraction also. The book doesn't present much of this kind of exercise. It goes more with multiplication, but you will find a couple like this, okay? And that is how we find an equivalent fraction, okay? When we talk about least common multiples, the word multiple says it right there, right? When you begin learning how to multiply, we say count by 2s, count by 3s, for example. So if I say find the least common multiple, and I have here 2 6, and I have here 4 12s. So find the least common multiples for 6 and 12. 6, 12. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18, and so on. 12 times 1 is 12. 12 times 2 is 24, and so on. Once I find the smallest number they share, I do not have to continue writing multiples. This would be 12. Okay? All right. If we're going to find the greatest common factor, all right, the greatest common factors means the two pairs of numbers that you multiply. Those are the factors, okay? The answer is what we call the product. So if I say, I need you to simplify, we use the greatest common factor to simplify or reduce a fraction, okay? So if I say, I want to find the greatest common factor, and I have here 10/15. All right? So I have 10 and I have 15. 1 times 10, I'm going to write the factors of 10. and 2 times 5. All right. The factors of 15. 1 times 15. And I have 3 times 5. That's it. Here, I'm going to circle the biggest factor they share. That's what I call the greatest common factor. The biggest common number that they share. This means that I'm going to divide by that number. Okay, the greatest common factor for 10 and 15 is 5. So I'm going to be dividing, and this is going to take me to the simplest fractions or reduced fraction. 10 divided by 5 is 2. 15 divided by 5 is 3. And I can't simplify 2/3 anymore. How do I know? Well, if I make my chart, all they're going to share is the 1. And if I divide by 1, I'm still going to get 2/3. All right? So this would be the greatest common factor is used to reduce. All right? Or simplify, which is the same thing. Okay? The least common multiple is used when you're going to add or subtract fractions with uncommon denominators. 2 over 6, 4 over 12, and I have an addition. There, I would have to find the least common multiple, which is 12. I'm going to make it as my new denominator. And what we're doing here is applying equivalent fractions. So 12 times 1 is 12. Whatever I do to one brother, I do to the other. This is 4. 6 times 2 is 12. Whatever I do to one brother, I do to the other. And this is 4. Now 4 plus 4 is 8. And denominator always stays the same. Here I can reduce. So I have to find the greatest common factor for 8 and 12. 8, 12. 1 times 8 and 2 times 4. Those are my factors for 8. 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. Okay? I'm going to circle the numbers. They share the 1, they share the 2, they share the 4. The greatest common factor is 4. So I'm going to divide by 4. Whatever I do to one brother, I do to the other. 8 divided by 4 is 2. 12 divided by 4 is 3. My answer is 2/3. I hope this helped you a little better with your understanding of equivalent fractions, finding the least common multiple, finding the greatest common factor to reduce. As you can see, we do all these steps to apply them all in one exercise. Here, when we find the equivalent fractions, okay, we find the least common multiple to find common denominators, and we use the greatest common factor to reduce if necessary. Thank you.